Another exclusive live session with the Hype Magazine.
You need to stop what you're doing. Pay attention.
World famous Hype Magazine. Going down right now.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby, and today, I've got this amazing lioness by the name of Lisa Cortés. She's an Emmy Award-winning producer and director, and today we're here to talk about this very important piece of work, in my opinion. Little Richard, I Am Everything. It's a documentary that tells the story of the Black queer origins of rock and roll, as it's described, it exploding the whitewashed canon of the American pop music reveal to the innovator, Richard Penniman. And I'm so proud to have you. Thank you for doing what you did. I appreciate you. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, thank you so much, Jerry. As you were speaking, you know what flashed in my head was Public Enemy's Bring the Noise. Right. You know what I mean? You know where I'm coming from?
I feel you. I'm there. I'm from that era. I'm from that world. I absolutely feel you. So look, congratulations on all your previous success. For everybody who's looking at, she's also one of the reasons that Precious got 6 Oscar nominations and won 2. This is that brilliant mind that participated in that. And thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for taking on the mantle of responsibility for telling this story. He definitely was the architect and definitely did not get his due. So can we please start with introspective on Lisa Cortés, though? From the inside looking out, can you tell me how you feel about Lisa Cortés and her accomplishments?
Well, that is an incredible question, Jerry. And what I feel is that I am incredibly grateful that I had parents who didn't tell me no, despite them growing up in a country that told them no a lot of times. But they didn't let that stop me. They didn't clip my wings. And if anything, they said, here's 64 crayons. Here's 128 crayons. You can be an artist. You can be true to your community, and you can color outside the lines. And I always remember the story of I got in trouble in kindergarten. And I got in trouble because I made a picture and it was filled with beautiful Black people. Mm. And my mother said, well, you can, first of all, I don't see anything wrong with your picture. I want to put my bra on and go down to that school. Mm. And I always remember that moment for me as an artist, as someone who had tremendous support from my parents. So I think that's kind of what's important about my story and why I honor Richard, because on a much bigger platform, he was bold and unapologetic. And despite the lack and limitations, he rose above that.
I certainly picked up your showcasing his intestinal fortitude throughout the film. And nobody had ever keyed on them. A lot of people made fun of him for claiming, rightfully so, his position and the manner in which he did it. And sometimes they were disrespectful. And the way that you dug in there to say, hey, despite all of this, he knew his worth and he knew what he was doing. He created an entire art form, and yeah, basically it was, for his ultimate self-expression. I understand that, but he gave something that he didn't know he was going to give. And you dug in there and said, this is a soldier. And that's what you gave us. Talk to me about the defining moment when you knew what this storyline and how you wanted to take it?
Well, I think a lot of the discovery of the story came from the structure of telling the story. And it started with my desire to give Richard the mic, to give him agency to tell his story. We did a real deep dive into archival so that we could tell that from cradle to grave, I had Richard. I don't need all these other people. If I ain't got Richard, then I don't have nothing. And so that became the structural integrity of the story. Everything else then becomes kind of like, you know, the layers that you put on. But, you know, Richard, nobody could tell it better than him. And sometimes he wasn't the most reliable narrator. But, you know, being old school, it was his time to have the mic.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect timing. And I say that because I'm rocking with, and rocking, there's no pun intended, but rocking with this young lady. There's a group out there called Cinnamon Babe. And she had just released a song called I'm Taking My Culture Back because rock and roll is Black. And she gave homage to the beginnings of rock and roll. She's got millions and millions of negative and denigrating comments about that. And even some who acknowledge the fact that, yes, rock and roll is an art form started by Black people. We don't need you to say it. So this really was timely for me, and I was ready to go, here we have someone showcasing the real architect of the art form and giving him the art opportunity to tell his story without it being adulterated by, you know, outside opinion. I think this was just his truth and the story. Very courageous story. Did you get any pushback as you look to bring this to the forefront? I know that when it premiered at Sundance, that it had an amazing response, and you got some very encouraging theatrical releases scheduled with additional theaters, and then it's going to digital April the 21st. So people are ready for it. Did you get any pushback about telling the story the way that you did?
No, because it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anything that we're saying about rock and roll and the foremothers and the forefathers like Sister Rosetta and Escarita and their contributions it's our history. And I was blessed and have been blessed to work with an incredible team, from Bungalow Entertainment to Magnolia Pictures, CNN Films, who believed in my vision, believed in my big vision. Because I was like, I'm not painting him in the corner. We're going to tell Richard, we're going to tell it with special effects. We're going to tell this story with performances by contemporary artists like Corey Henry and Pastor John P. Key and Valerie June. We're going to step outside the confines of what one expects with a music doc. I'm going to be intentional about the academics, brilliant Black people who are telling this story. No one ever questioned. It was really about, you know, and that's what I love about making documentaries is, you know, in a time where history, and especially Black history, is being told that it's not important, documentaries is a space that values all histories and interrogation of the stories of how we came to be.
Okay. I'm agreeing with, you know, I'm becoming more and more interested in documentary. When I was a kid, Walter Cronkite, of course, was the lead voice on a lot of documentary, and you were there, the Walter Cronkite thing. We didn't have storytellers that were given time and space on, the larger broadcast platforms, so we didn't get a chance to see these stories told from a Black perspective, told from someone who's acknowledging our greatness as a community and not standing for the nonsense. They try it. So, so much for my commentary. You have done, interviews probably with everybody, their cat, uncle, and dog. Is there a question about Little Richard, I Am Anything, that we as media have neglected to ask that you wanted to answer?
Oh boy, you're coming with the hard ones today.
I'm sorry.
Well, I always like to talk about, the song that got away in this film. And it's a song called Keep a Knockin', But I Can't Come In. And I love that song because it has this propulsive energy, this amazing drum pattern that opens at the beginning. It's the same drum pattern that was then used by Led Zeppelin in their classic song, Rock and Roll. But what I also love about that song is it is a metaphor for Richard's journey, that desire to be fully embraced, to seek that acceptance, and to not access it completely. So I recommend, if people don't know the song, that they give it a listen, because it is, you're going to think about the song and you're going to think about Richard differently after you listen to it.
Okay. It's a beautiful piece. Limited theatrical releases coming April 11th, and then it'll expand, and then we're coming to digital April 21st. I say we're coming to digital because I'm so proud of this. I am like, this is something that I want my kids to see. This is a real story, and I hope that it's acknowledged and makes it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame display. Thank you so much. But time is limited. I'm respecting your time. I want to say I love your work. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to me. And what would you say to close out to people who want to tell Black stories in a truthful manner, no matter what kind of pushback they might get?
Telling these stories is not easy. It takes a long time. It takes compromise sometimes because your budget don't allow things to be incorporated. But I always lean back on my ancestors. I'm here because of them. They encountered much more difficult things than I do in creating these stories. And I am bolstered by what they have poured into me, whether I knew them or not. I think Black filmmakers of color, filmmakers from so many communities that are not seen in the mainstream, remember there is great value and richness in your vision. There is strength from your ancestors, and there is a space for your stories to be told in. And if you want more information about where the film's going to be on April 11th, you can go to littlericharddocumentary.com.
Okay. All right, everybody. The Hype Magazine live sessions. Director Lisa Cortés. She's doing important work. We support. We appreciate you. Little Richard, I Am Everything is the documentary. It's very important. Go check it out. And shout out to Bungalow Media, CNN Films, HBO Max, Rolling Stone Films, but most of all, to the person who was determined to get this story told the right way, Miss Lisa Cortés. Until next time.